Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. It's Friday, July 19th, which means it is time for a store review. And I've skipped a few weeks primarily just because this store didn't have any tanks that you could actually buy for gold that were, worth talking about. But this week seems to be a little bit different. All the Defenders in here, the Charlemagne's in here now, so we're going to talk about that. There is a lot of things going on. We've still got 41 days left in the anniversary, so hopefully you guys are slowly working your way up, getting these essentially free tanks. Yeah, you can buy things and speed your way up. Basically it is a one-to-one exchange with gold to the screens. I have played the E10. I finally got it all the way maxed out. It has been a fun tank to play. I have enjoyed it, but I wouldn't play the Death Star here without having it fully equipped, right? So just take your time with that. And then there is the Hall of Fame going on, which basically just come in and get your, whatever these things are called here to open up the control panel, and this has gold in it quite a bit, low gold numbers, but it's free gold essentially just for coming in and playing. We've had lots of quests here with different things to do. This one's fight 25 battles. We had one that was do 350,000 in damage or something like that last week. We've got the massive draw and grand surprise. I'll touch on these briefly as we get into the store, but I just didn't want to do a store review if that's all I'm talking about is draws and gambling. So this week looks to be a little bit different. We'll talk about the tanks later. And again, didn't want to make the emphasis on the draws, but just a reminder here, and this was pointed out to me by someone who left a comment. I really appreciate it. I didn't even recognize that this was up here, but you can click on that information here and it'll show you how much each draw is going to count. And as you can see, it increases each time. And that way you can figure out how much it's going to cost you to get whatever's in the middle of this, which is always the most, what you probably want, right? And then if you can click on this one down here and you can see for each turn, this is going to change. So 55% chance of getting a sandbox container. You'll see sandbox containers are in the store a lot lately, and those are for tier 3 through tier 5 tanks. I'm not sure why you guys rush through the lower tiers. Wargaming nerfs all of those tanks and then they try to sell us back those tanks. It does just make sense to me. Anyway, moving on, we've got a subscription here. This one's a little bit interesting. Back not even that long ago, subscriptions used to be just for gold. They used to have a very nice exchange rate to them. The only downside was that you would have to log in every single day. And that still applies here, but the gold exchange is not as high. However, you are guaranteed on this subscription here to get a tank out of it. The mystery certificate, we've talked about this a lot. My only negative on it is, that you could draw one of these tier 10s, a 9 or an 8, but if you look at how we scroll through this, how many 7s, how many 6s there are, it's about 50% of the tanks in that certificate. So you're more likely to come away with a tier 6 or tier 7 tank, and that obviously lowers the value here on that subscription. The grand surprise, I am going to talk about this because, the grand surprise container is interesting. You open the grand surprise container and you get one of these containers, and it could be a Skoda, it could be the Object 260, it could be the Polig or whatever this thing is called down here, Polac, a tier 6, right? The good thing with these containers is you've got a 20% chance of getting the tank. If you don't get the tank, you're going to get gold, right? The downside is you don't know if you're going to get a tier 6 or a tier 10. So that to me makes these, more on that gambling side. Yeah, the screens are nice. This is going to give you a good boost on the event that we just talked about. But I try to stay away from those. I believe there is one below for just a single one. You might want to just try your luck with that and see what you think. But I would stay away from them. And again, More of these certificates. This one is a European certificate. You can see what's inside by clicking on it. We've got 2 tier 10s. We've got a couple tier 7s, and it looks like about an 8% chance to get any one of those tanks. But at least you are guaranteed a tank, guaranteed the screens, and then you may get lucky and drop something out of the 5 European containers, but I wouldn't count on it. The Alpha Predator draw here, again, in the middle, typically what you want to get, which is a tier 10 certificate, guaranteeing yourself a tier 10. But just keep in mind some of the things on the outside that are most likely to drop are the stuff that you don't want. What's the highest tier? Free XP, great, okay. So you're probably going to end up with that. And then, as I said before, this is going to just keep going up until you get, at least there's only 20 here. You can figure out that commitment fairly easily. I'm not even going to do it. You know, here's the one for $6. I think if you buy them in a bundle, it's probably closer to $5. But again, you get a flavor for how this works. The sandbox draw, this is kind of interesting because, like I mentioned before, pulling to get a container that may contain a tier 3 or tier 5, and there's 50 of these. And just look at this, how it adds up. 51 draws to get to the middle here, which is a guaranteed tier 3 or tier 5 tank. Just please stay away from this draws here. Storm guards, here's another one here that is gonna guarantee you one of the defenders. The new one here is the TSL 7 defender, which obviously I don't have. It just doesn't have the check mark by it. But you can see there's been a lot of defenders come out lately, and we're gonna talk about those a little bit later. So if you wanna gamble, you are gonna guarantee yourself a defender for $15. But it could be any one of those. The Cobra was on sale a little while ago. I believe it was for gold. I've enjoyed this tank. Seems to be pretty fun with its big damage gun here. But for, if we say that's 30 times 600, that's 18,000 gold for a tier 9. That is high price-wise for the tank itself, but it is a medium. It only has heat and high HE, probably Hesh in this on this one here, so it gives you 500 damage versus your standard 400. Downside is you can't shoot through anything. The heat is going to just explode on whatever it hits first, any of the soft targets like a building or something. That does make it a little bit more difficult, but that you can see here, it's got a nice little damage per minute number. It's got some nice mobility. It's kind of different, and it's a little bit fun in my opinion. So gonna skip over the containers. You get the flavor here for the defender containers. Let's just take a look at this. Not sure what the drop chances are. I would stay away from the containers, especially for this TSL 7. You know, they definitely will be coming for sale in the store in the future. So don't worry about that. You can see here, and we'll talk about it here. Let me just scroll to the beginning here. All right, so they've got 5 of them for $53. You know, that was at $10 each, 6,000 gold each. You're gonna get the 60 days of premium time and the 8,000 of the screens there. I'll talk about each one of these individually. 25,000, that makes the price better here if you buy it in gold. Carnarvon. This is very much like the British heavy tank. You know, it's a little bit slow. It doesn't have super high damage per minute. 3 shells in the magazine, 3 seconds between shells. So that makes it a little bit different in the sense that you've got 9 or 6 seconds here to get your 3 shots off, and then you hide for 20 seconds essentially. I only played it a few times, didn't love it. So that, you know, I don't have high recommendations on this. The Defender Mark 1 is probably, in my opinion, the best of these. It's got much better mobility. I would say 7,500 gold for it is not bad. You can see 2,000 damage per minute and only 2 seconds between shells and only 16 seconds between a full clip reload, right? So you're not going to be doing as much damage per shot, but you're not on target near as much. And then we've got the T-28 Defender. My issue with this is its speed. It's not a bad tank. However, it is so super slow, almost painfully slow. Let's see. Top speed, 30 kilometers per hour. Yeah, and so you've got 6.6 seconds between shells, 20-second full reload time there. And then the last one, where were we here? The IS-3 Defender. I haven't played it lately. It really, when it first came out, was a great tank. But then it kind of suffered with power creep from all the tanks around it. And I understand they may have buffed it up a little bit, but I haven't played it since then. So, I don't think the price is horrible for these. But I would certainly go with the Defender there, this one. I must have skipped over the AMX. I like the AMX Defender. I love the mobility, the speed on this one here. You can see 2,100 damage per minute, which is nice for shells in the magazine. And what I really like is that 1.6 seconds. Only 12 seconds or 13 seconds there on the reload, and top speed of 65 kilometers per hour. So my two favorites would be the Defender followed by the AMX. Those would be my two recommendations, but if you like the heavier, slower tanks, they're not bad. I'm going to skip over the XMF. This is going to be a long, if I talk too long about those, this is going to be too long of a video here. We've got a tier 10, the STRV-K, 25,000 gold. I think this is still too high. This tank is relatively new. It hasn't been sold too much just yet. To me, it was just a mediocre. I didn't find anything super great about it. So I'm just going to say pass on this for now and wait for it to come out. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the Starfleet bundle here. So let's get in to the tanks a little bit more here. Actually, this is the individual offers. The AMX, another tier 10. This is a French heavy tank. They're trying to dress it up with so much stuff around it to make it look enticing, but I still think 20,000 is just too much for this tank. Face hugging, yeah, sure, it is a beast, but it is just so hard these days with the way the battles tanks spread out all over the place. To find places to hide the side of this tank, and 20,000, I think it's just too much right now. I'm gonna skip over these resources here, capital resources, and let's just get to talking about tanks. Wow, there's a lot. So Steel Guardians here, $35. Or you could buy it here for 17,500, which makes more sense. Not as much in this bundle here, but it is a better price. But if we break this down on a per tank basis, let's say you're paying 10,000 for the K91 and 75 for the T54E2. T54E2, put this in a must-own category here. This is one of the best tier 8 heavy tanks, just all-arounder. Great tank. The K91 has been so difficult because it's been out so many times, been on offer. I wouldn't pay 10,000 for it, that is for sure. You can buy the tank here for 12,500 or 8,500, which is what I would probably do, and get the T54E2. I don't think you'll be disappointed with that. The Endurance, I don't know anything about it, so I'm just going to skip over it. I have seen it a couple times in gravity mode or whatever we've had lately. Seems to be a pretty fast tank, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm just going to skip over that. Like we mentioned before, the Cobra, I've had fun with it, but for $30, I was certainly an early investor. I think I got it for gold, though, but I can't remember how much. We talked about the STRV. All right, so now we've got elusive scouts here. This one's a little bit different. You've got 2 tanks for 8,500 gold, which is a great price. However, the Type 62 is a tier 7 light tank. Super, super fun, especially if you're good with light, medium tanks. Just the mobility on it alone is great. The LT-432, I would put a little word of caution out on this tank. It is a little bit difficult to play. I mean, kind of like the STG for me took a little while to get used to. This thing has such a low profile on it that some of my normal spots just didn't work out. And with its mobility and lack of armor, you really had to use that mobility to this tank's advantage and just find spots where other people aren't. I don't think the pen on it seems to be that great. So you really just have to work on getting to spots where you can get sides and backs and that type of thing with this tank. And as you can see, 70 kilometers per hour as that top speed. Your average pen here is 184, so it's not super great. Only 1,200 hit points for a tier 8, 2,000 average damage. So it's different, right? And I don't think that this is necessarily a horrible deal. Just be aware, 2 tanks that can be a little bit difficult to play. 75 for just the tank by itself. I mean, I would just go ahead and get everything that comes with this, for the extra 1,000 gold there. And 5,000 is not horrible for the Type 62, except you're not getting the camo with it or anything like that. All right, so now we've got the heavy offensive, a tier 9, and then the Charlemagne by itself. I can't really talk about the Charlemagne because I don't own it yet. The Object 452, we've seen this around a good bit, and I've actually talked about it on store. Shooting for this tank at a distance will probably make you go a little bit mad. The accuracy on this tank just not there for me from a distance. But with the armor on it, you can get obviously much closer. Obviously, things don't necessarily always work out that way in a battle, and you might have to take some long distance shots. And wow, yeah, it's just kind of frustrating. But I do enjoy the tank itself with its lower profile and its nice armor. 17.5 for both of these, I don't think is too bad. Again, let's say you're spending 9 and 8.5 or something for them. So I don't think that is too terribly bad. 12.5 individually or 8.5 here, which is what I will probably do on the Charlemagne, just because I don't have this one. So we'll come back to the store later and pick that up, and I can give you a little bit more update on what those tanks are like. And obviously we talked about the defenders earlier. I do want to talk about steel monsters here. It appears that the only way to get this is with cash. So you can't use your gold. You are going to get a little bit of gold back. You're going to get some screens. Now, let's talk about these tanks. They work out to be about $24 if we're going to get your gold around 600. That's 14,000 gold. So 7,500 each. I don't see that as being too terribly bad for each of these tanks. So it's an okay deal, not a great deal. Type 57, I've talked about this before. Again, just the accuracy on the gun. But you can see here with its profile, you're going to get several ricochets off of it if you play it well, hold down, whatever, angled nicely. Tornvon, I do want to talk about because I do like this tank. If you can keep this thing hold down, you can see if that's all you're showing your enemy is this slender little turret. It's a fun little tank to play. It's not horrible, I don't believe, on the speed, 37 kilometers per hour. And let's take a look. Damage per minute is pretty low there at 1,800, but you've got some good armor to offset that. So I do like that tank, and if you don't have either of them, it's not a horrible deal. So again, as it goes, guys, I kind of using this gold here, 54 divided by 85 to get the gold per dollar. So yeah, so it looks like there was some stuff in the store here. I'm not sure if I ever, yeah, we did see the grand surprise here for $6. So with that said, guys, I hope you're having fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.